Good afternoon. Welcome to a brand new working week here in Thailand, and this is TNT. And we've got our very special guest editor today, Daisy the dog, who is very attentive and making notes, just making sure that we're fair and balanced in our coverage of today's topic, which is the Thai-Cambodian border. Bottom line is, I think we're probably in a worse situation than we've been really since July, except for when they were hurling artillery at each other. Now, just to bring you up to date with the current situation, we'll start with this article. It was, I suppose, a bit of an editorial written by calsodenglish.com. I have to say their coverage of the Thai-Cambodian border in the English language has been exceptional. So you can really follow them on their Facebook page and then, of course, on their calsodenglish.com publications and the latest news about that situation. Let's go to this one. Anutin, the accidental PM, and how he mishandled the US. So making their opinion quite clear about both the status of the Thai PM and how he's been handling the conversations over the weekend, which we'll get to in a moment. Now, after some threats from the US trade ambassador early last week, linking the trade talks with the situation along the Thai-Cambodian border, Anutin last Wednesday had this to say. I'm not interested in how the trade talks or tariffs are going anymore. If we can't sell to the US, we'll find another country to sell to. Many conservatives and ultranationalists thinking, well, that was an example of Thailand that can say no to the US and Donald Trump. That declaration was made after Anutin had unilaterally nullified the KL peace declaration between Thailand and Cambodia, following the loss of a Thai soldier's ankle after the officer stepped on a landmine along the Thai-Cambodian border. And the article says that Anutin, this is the Thai PM, quickly won the hearts and minds of ultra-nationalists and nationalists, but less than 4 days later he would capitulate and tell the public that he'd received a call from Trump regarding the peace accord and took the opportunity to request that Trump reduce the tariffs further from the current expected rate of 19%. Yeah, okay, good luck with that one. But let's go to the contents of the phone call, and it was between the Foreign Minister and Prime Minister of Thailand, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, and on the other end of the line, the President of the United States. And on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website, a summary of the phone conversation between the PM of Thailand, the President of the United States, and the Prime Minister of Malaysia. And it happened on the evening of the 14th of November. I found it interesting how they officially listed the names of the people in the phone call. His Excellency Mr. Anutin Charnvirakul, the Prime Minister of Thailand, and the Honourable Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States of America. I don't know, and I'm sure somebody out in the comment section might know, His Excellency or Her Excellency or the Honourable, what is the difference? But down to the conversation, and the Prime Minister Anutin took the opportunity to underline that both sides must adhere to the commitments mutually agreed upon to enable the achievement of peace. So originally in the ceasefire negotiated by the chair of ASEAN, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, and then reiterated in the peace accord, the KL peace accord, and the signing of that was attended by the President of the United States. There were 4 key points, and Thailand keeps on going back to these 4 key points. One of them in particular seems to be a real sticking point. And in the phone call, the Prime Minister Anutin said that Cambodia was the first to violate those agreements, particularly in the case of landmines, which is a critical agreement. And the Prime Minister maintained that Cambodia continues to evade and distort the facts regarding a recent landmine incident. And Prime Minister Anutin shared that he personally inspected the scene and can confirm that the new landmines were illegally planted. Well, he would have been told by the Thai army that that's their understanding. And he mentioned that Thailand had also invited the ASEAN observer team to the area to investigate the incident. And that observer team has come and gone. And the Prime Minister confirmed that Thailand's committed to peace, but it's Cambodia that must acknowledge the facts and take responsibility for the incident. And that Thailand must be able to begin demining operations in the 13 areas previously discussed without having to face obstructions to those operations. Now, I probably should mention at this time that Cambodia's recollection of this entire situation is almost the entire opposite. We'll get to some of their coverage in a moment. And then President Trump expressed his understanding and commitment to assist Thailand in discussing the matter with Cambodia. He said that both the US and Malaysia are ready to support and enable both sides to move forward in the peace process. And then the Thai Prime Minister emphasised that all this depends on Cambodia's position because all along Thailand's been firmly committed to advancing the path to peace. But he told the President that Thailand must reserve the right to take the necessary actions to protect Thailand's sovereignty. And according to this report from the Foreign Affairs Ministry, following the phone conversation with President Trump, the Prime Minister of Thailand also spoke with the Prime Minister of Malaysia, and he in turn committed to assist to find ways to move the peace process forward while taking into account the Thai side's proposal. And the Malaysian PM said that he'd reiterated to the United States that demining was the core of agreements contained in the joint declaration. So all the things that you'd expect them to say being reported by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I suppose I'd like to know the things that weren't reported but were said. I also thought it was interesting to see how they were having this conversation. I would have thought perhaps the Prime Minister of Thailand would have been sitting behind his big teak desk and the red phone rings and he picks it up. "Hello, Mr. President." And on the other end would be the President Donald Trump, President of the United States, sitting in the Oval Office behind the resolute desk, picking up his, I'd imagine, a gold phone, saying, "Hi, Anutin, how's it going?" But no. It's the Prime Minister of Thailand and the Foreign Affairs Minister sitting on a sofa next to him with his Xiaomi sitting on the other table. And I'd imagine it might be President Trump on the other end, maybe between holes, doing a few rounds of his Mar-a-Lago golf course. But yes, much more casual than you might think. But as I said, I think it would have been much more interesting to have reported the things that weren't written down in the transcript. And now Cowside English with some later reporting saying that Anutin's at the centre of a storm spanning Cambodia to Washington. And all the talk in the Thai media has been how much of this is about the tariffs, how much is it about the Thai-Cambodian border, and how are the two issues linked. And the suspension of US-Thai trade talks has ignited a political clash in Bangkok, with the PM fending off accusations that his nationalist rhetoric has pushed Washington to link tariff negotiations to Thailand's faltering ceasefire agreement with Cambodia. And while travelling with the Thai monarchs on a state visit to China, Anutin told reporters he'd privately asked Trump to consider further tariff reductions, saying Thailand cooperates well with America in all respects. He said he'd asked Trump to save face while the US president urged Thailand to honour the Cambodia agreement to preserve his own credibility. There he is with his Xiaomi, or maybe it's an iPhone, who knows? And then what came first, the chicken or the egg? After Washington's announcement, Anutin insisted the suspension was issued before his November 14 call with Trump. He also said the Malaysian PM had assured him on November the 15th that Washington would not link the ceasefire issue to trade negotiations. But in the next paragraph, a Foreign Ministry spokesperson said security and safety issues must be considered separate from trade issues. The article notes that two-way goods and services trade between Thailand and the US totaled an estimated $88.3 billion last year, and that was a 13.6% increase from the previous year. And speaking last Friday on Air Force One, the American president said, "I stopped a war just today," and crediting tariff threats for giving the US leverage. So if you've been following any Cambodian media, you would be getting an entirely different story. Let's go to some headlines in the Khmer Times. The Senate President Hun Sen says Cambodia has not fought back out of respect for the peace accord. Breaking, security sources warn of possible Thai military attack. Thailand must step back from the brink. Preparing an attack on Cambodia is a direct violation of the peace accord. Going down there, Thailand's dangerous and manipulative dancing between the US and China, and Cambodia intensifies crackdown on online scam rings. And a very toxic war of words continues between the ultra-nationalists on both sides, Thailand and Cambodia. Plenty of friction still remaining, and peace a long, long way off. As I've said all along, the only way this is going to be sorted out is between Thailand and Cambodia. I'm not really sure if any outside interference is helping or hindering the process. This just being posted today in the Phnom Penh Post Facebook page. Thai military appears to be stepping up readiness as sources warn of imminent attack. So the rhetoric running very, very high on both sides at the moment, and it's very difficult for people like me to try and sort out the facts from the pure fiction. Suffice to say that the situation along the Thailand-Cambodian border is probably worse now than it has been over the past 3 months. So a long way to go in this story. Bottom line, you still can't cross from Thailand to Cambodia or vice versa through the land border. And I would say that's going to be or remain the situation for at least the short and probably the midterm, many, many months to go on that particular situation. The people who are really suffering are those people living on both sides of that Thai-Cambodian border. Their life's just thrown into complete confusion at the moment. Hopefully that's sort of brought you up to date with this very fractious situation, and will continue to do so. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.